Shabbat Shalom. Darkness. Darkness seems to return in cycles, day and night, but also in cycles across human history, like sunrise and sunset, but spread out across centuries. Our need to seek and increase illumination as the darkness returns is mandated in a few short, isolated verses at the very beginning of this week's Torah portion, Parasha Behalotecha, where Aaron is commanded, when you, Aaron, raise up the lamps, let the 7 lamps give light at the front of the menorah. Each and every evening, the Torah instructs one of Aaron's personal responsibilities as the Kohen Gadol, as the high priest, the chief officiant of Israel, was to place the 7 individual lights atop the gold menorah inside the tabernacle, positioned so that they would illuminate the interior of the Mishkan. Aaron's human kindling of light within the darkening interior of the Mishkan mirrored the transformation of God's manifestation outside and above the tabernacle each evening, as we read further on in the parasha. On the day that the Mishkan was set up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, the tent of the pact, and in the evening it rested over the Mishkan in the likeness of fire until morning. It was always so. The cloud covered it, appearing as fire by night. Now, in this past week, my oldest son, Michael, our oldest, celebrated his high school graduation, which has gotten me to thinking about high school graduations. Now, a few weeks ago, I shared reflections on the motto of my collegiate alma mater, Crescat Scientia Vita Excolatur, let knowledge increase and life be enriched. Tonight, inspired by Michael's high school graduation and inspired by the words of my fellow Bronx High School of Science alum E.L. Doctorow, words shared at graduation ceremonies a decade ago, but recounted recently by his biographer, Bruce Weber, I'd like to share some thoughts. Doctorow, like myself, was not science-focused as a student at Bronx Science. In his words, he recollected the words of the founding principal of the school, Morris Meister, quote, that in the passage of time, scientific knowledge could be compared to a searchlight beam, expanding and lighting up more and more of the darkness. But as it did, so did the circumference of the darkness expand. As the light spreads out, so does it discern more and more of the darkness. Doctorow acknowledged in his remarks that Meister had borrowed this notion from none other than Albert Einstein, who wrote that as our circle of knowledge expands, so does the circumference of darkness surrounding it. In other words, as our knowledge grows, so too does the awareness of our own ignorance expand. The human quest for knowledge will always face that expanding circumference of darkness, Doctorow told those Bronx Science graduates a decade ago. You will find that in the world, great progress is made in some ways, like curing disease, like inventing robotic devices, going into space, while in other ways, Doctorow said, as in our wars, our brutalization of others, our pollution of the natural world, we are faltering. It is possible, Dr. O warned, that our great technical achievements notwithstanding, our moral natures are not keeping up, that we have the brains, but not always the hearts to do the right thing. But there is always hope, Dr. Rowe declared, and there is always the next generation coming along to make things better, so that the circumference of the darkness, which turns out to be the questions for which science has no answer, can eventually be illuminated. He charged the graduates to illuminate that darkness, saying, "We older folks are waiting for you. I look out from this stage and see a beautiful assembly of the American future." Now, I've been wondering what Dr. O, who died in July of 2015, would have had to say this week. This week, as so many celebrated high school graduations, but also as the light of that graduating class, those who graduated some 5 years ago, has shined out upon the darkness, revealing its vast presence, but also demonstrating the limitless power of that light. Perhaps he might have offered this insight as a corollary. The more we come to know, the more we realize how much we do not know, and in that realization we have a choice to either recognize or deny our own ignorance, to shine the light or to continue blundering in the darkness. For some, darkness and ignorance seem a preference over the need to change. For acknowledging our own ignorance is no easy thing. It requires courage and bravery. It means recognizing and acknowledging our own foolishness. Well, Dr. Rowe finished his address with these words. "If I were a clergyman, I'd cast a blessing, but I'm a writer. So I say, be brave, be kind, take good care of yourself, and carry it on. As a clergyman, I can only add, Amen." Shabbat Shalom. As always, I'm privileged to share my thoughts from the pulpit, from the bima here, and I do invite replies, reactions, responses, critiques, and criticism. Please do drop me an email or a note. I won't be able to look until after Shabbat, of course.